Okay, little update. We're down to 20. Let's see, today's the 2nd of August, so we got 19 days before we leave for the I leave for the power tour. So tonight we're going to work on the AC, start putting it back on, I should say. We have this old school vintage air under dash unit, trying to keep that retro look going. I'm not going to be hooking up the heater anytime soon, just the 2 AC lines. This will mount under the dash with a pair of these brackets. And then this wiring here is for the actual heater control valve, but we're just going to zip tie it up under the dash for now, bypass it. The AC unit, or the AC compressor that was on it, I used to have this down version of a bulkhead coming off the compressor. This one going back to the firewall, the number 10, and this number 8 going up to the condenser. But because of all the changes and miscellaneous location of things, we're going to have to go to possibly the straight bulkhead. That's what I'm going to do tonight, is start mocking it up, figuring out what's going to work, not work. We may end up putting just a regular 90 here off the number 8, go down. It's going to end up coming into this number 8 that comes out to the condenser, and we may end up putting our service port down there on the end of the hose, or we may weld us a service port right here on this upper fitting, so it'll be kind of convenient. You got to have a high side and a low side. Number 8 will be your high side. Your number 10 line, your number 8 and your number 6 line will be your high side. So you can service the system off of either side of either one of those 2 hoses. So we're going to work on that some tonight. We drove it over the weekend. We've had some rain today and Sunday night. These pieces of masking tape on each side kind of indicate, it looks like the windshield's still leaking a little bit. So we'll probably be pulling the windshield out and resealing it. And then we finally got the material, or I finally made my mind up for the material for the seat. We're just going to worry about the front seat right now. So we're going to go with this metallic blue and the houndstooth. And then we'll be making the foam, and we're going to reuse the factory bent seat for now. So we'll be doing that. I just want to get the AC in it so I can get the vacuum going on it. Have plenty of time to check for leaks. And the only other thing is we're going to mount after driving it for the weekend, we're going to take and mount this aftermarket transmission cooler. It's made by Doral. Going to make a couple small brackets. I have a pattern for them. This pattern's going to be just the 1 inch wide. I'm just going to have this here. It's going to straddle. Well, if I quit dropping, we'll weld a couple of nuts in it on one side. It's just going to straddle like so, and then there'll be a nut welded here. It'll be only 1 inch wide, one on each end. And we're actually going to, old Chucky at CBR, Church Boys, may not be happy, but we're going to hold that up here and locate, and we're going to finish cutting this out, and we're going to mount it behind it so it can get some air. That'll give us a place to mount it and it's not be visible looking, and we're going to pull that heat out of the radiator. It hasn't been running hot. Been running 200, 205 by the best you can tell by the gauge. But yeah, we're going to do that and pull that extra heat out of the radiator, so that should help some. And then we were still fighting some brake dragging issues off and on, but I think we have those resolved. We drove it this weekend down to the local 8th Mile drag strip to watch some friends, watch Joey and Chris with Sunshine and Gold Digger. So once we get that done, we'll be banging on the seat and getting it done. I'll do a little bit more video in here in a minute as we get some stuff done. So I've got this hose mocked up, crimping the last fitting on the number 8 line. So yeah, we here at the shop crimp our own hoses. We're a fairly large dealer for Vintage Air. We carry a full line of all their fittings and bulk hose and all of that. And if you buy your fittings and hose, or like a hose kit from us, and cut it all to length and clock all the fittings and everything like you want, we will crimp it for you for nothing. This is a little hydraulic crimper that we use, and then we have a manual one that we can put in a vise also. You always want to make sure you get it crimped good and tight. So you can see there, crimps it all the way around. You want to make sure that the hose is pushed all the way up into where you can see the end of the rubber in this little sight hole here. And then when you clock them, if you're mailing them in for us, just make a reference mark on the fitting and one on the hose, so that you know that they're lined up. On the straight ones it doesn't necessarily matter, but on your angled ones it does matter because of the natural curve of the hose. Or if you have an angled one on each end, you want to put the reference mark on them so that when we clock them or crimp them, we know that they're going to fit and line up when you get them back on. So on this, this is our number 8 hose. So it's going to go from this fitting, the 90-degree end, down to there. That'll be the straight with the service port. And it'll go under our number 10. And then the number 10, I've decided I'm going to do a 45. And it's just going to come up, run along this bulkhead. And we'll be replacing this old hose because it's going to be too short now. So we'll be pulling that out. We'll save that hose. We can maybe excuse me, cut it down, reuse an end, cut a section of the hose out, and only have to put one end on it for another job or something. Just run them up a hand. Make sure not to cross thread them. It's real easy to do because everything's steel and aluminum. But once you get them started, now the O-ring is seated that way. It hasn't. You don't want to use the nut and pull it up to seat the O-ring. You will guaranteed pinch that. Okay, these fittings only need to be tightened tight enough not to leak. They don't need to be over tightened. You can pinch the O-ring, just over tighten. Vintage Air actually manufactures and sells these little AC wrenches. You can see they're not very long, maybe 3 inches long. It has all 4 of the sizes that you need in the AC situation, and as tight as you can get it with this wrench is plenty tight. That's all you need right there. Tight enough not to leak. So we have this drawn out. A couple of 1-inch wide pieces or fold lines, bend lines. This will be the length. We'll end up with a hole here, 1 hole here for mounting it. So let's go get this cut right quick and see what we can get done. This will be the fitting, but we have these little service port pieces, these nipples right here that we can cut, and see how this is actually welded, but where that's going to be on the car, if I was to use this pre-made one, we would not be able to get our service port on it. See, it'll be right in the way of the wastegate. We're going to leave it at that because I want to drill my holes for the nuts and get those welded in. We're going to do that in the morning. It's going to work out just fine. We'll mark it for the second bend, put the second bend in it, locate these bolt holes in here, drill and weld a couple of nuts in there so this will bolt in. That way if you ever need to take the cooler off, you can take the cooler off without having to take all the brackets off, vice versa. Or you can take, I'm going to put 1 bolt here, and this will go on the back side of that cross member, and you can go through the cross member into this, take the whole unit off take it off as a complete unit if you'd like. All right, so that's where we're going to leave it tonight. Like I said, today is the 2nd of August. We have 19 days before we pull out and go head to the power tour. And I think I showed you earlier, just in case I didn't, this is going to be the material that we're going to use. It's kind of a metallic blue, silver blue, and the old traditional blue houndstooth. Just going to give it a basic, something simple seat cover. Make our own foam, we'll give it some nice shape. Mainly so we're not sitting on that for 3,000 miles. Alright, good night. Talk to y'all tomorrow. We also still have to figure out where the windshield leak's coming through. If it's just between the rubber and the glass, or if it's between the rubber and the body. This is a new windshield, so if best I remember, there is no rotted out areas in that. And like and subscribe to the channel, and we will be back tomorrow evening.